Welcome to the Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to the Actor's Choice. Roll it.
I know you don't know what I'm going through. Standing here looking at you. Well, let me tell you that it's so bad. It makes me feel so sad.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw came from 1965, Hurt So Bad. Of course, my first guest. Today, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of fans around the world grew up with him in that group known as Little Anthony and the Imperials. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, and I mean please welcome, Anthony Gourdine.
Anthony. Oh, that's beautiful. You see, that's what they call me down in South Carolina, where my people are from, Charleston. They say Gourdine. See, they'll say Gourdine. And if you're in Canada, they say Jardine.
Yes.
The Gourdine part, I'm really not sure why it says Dean. A lot of times people will move a certain place and must start a new life, and they'll change the letter or they'll change the enunciation of it.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it is. But it's all the same thing.
Right.
So you can call me anything. You can call me Harry, you can call me Charlie, you can call me Edward and Eddie and Franklin. But you doesn't have to call me Gourdine.
It's Dine. I had to catch myself on that. My mother's from Charleston, South Carolina, so I know what you mean, sir.
Oh, okay. That's why we're getting close there, man.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
We just talked before the thing, yeah.
Yes, sir. So let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in 1941 and just had a birthday.
Yep, January 8th. Yeah, that was fast. Whoa. Yeah, it did. By the grace of God, I'm here in good health. A lot of little grandchildren to deal with. And I'm still a mouseketeer. I hang out in the Disney World a lot.
I can see that on the one thing back there.
Yeah. So I do that kind of stuff. But other than that, I'm just kind of like everybody else in this business, waiting like a horse in the starting gate to get out again after this COVID horrible 19, and to do what I was put on this earth to do. That's perform, me and a bunch of other people. So other than that, all is well.
Okay.
It is well with my soul. Yep.
Got you. You grew up in the Fort Greene housing projects. I was in the St. Nicholas. You in Brooklyn. I was in Harlem.
Yeah. I know.
Yes, sir. You were blessed with a marvelous voice and a talented family. It all starts there. Tell us about the family, please.
Well, my mom was a gospel singer, and she sang with my aunts, and they were called the Nazareth Baptist Gospel Singers. And my dad was an alto and tenor man, and he played for a lot of the big bands, especially Buddy Johnson, and Etta Johnson, and he filled in here and there. In fact, it was through my dad that I met Duke Ellington, Mr. Ellington at Savoy. I was a little boy. I didn't know who he was. But later on, I got to meet him in Las Vegas at the Hilton Hotel. And he was drinking hot water. I never forget. I kept drinking hot water. Anyway, he did. And I told him who I was. And he, it's kind of hard for him to remember all these different people. I said, yeah, my dad brought me up to Savoy and met you and stuff like that. And well, it's
Got you.
and my brothers, all the musicians, they all were. They're not alive, but when they were, my brother Donald was more talented than anybody in the family. I think, in my humble opinion, he self-taught himself. He taught to compose. No one taught him. He figured it out. He once built a really phenomenal house out of matchsticks. He was this kind of kid who had a very high IQ. and no one really knew it till later on. And he can sing, as we say, he can sing.
Dang, yes, sir.
and and then my brother, oh, in fact, he played different instruments too, and just a marvelously talented young man. And my older brother played alto sax, and my brother Elliot played drums.
Wow. So
So
you had
so
talent
so
in the family.
music was all over
Yes.
me, all around me.
Yes.
I mean, this goes back a long time. I could tell you a million things, but that's where I met Sam Cooke.
Got you.
Before he was known as Sam Cooke, he was with the Soul Stirrers.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and her sisters did a lot of gospel, a lot of churches. My mom would drag me along, and that's where I saw him and met him. In fact, in those days, they should stay at people's houses.
Yes.
Yes. So I think and believe that he stayed at my aunt's house, my Aunt Sarah's house, because he always called her Miss Ford. Oh, yeah, I know Miss Ford. He would always tell me so. It's an interesting life I came up with. All the people that I came up with now are either stars or they're in jail.
Right. Now you went to Boys High School, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture
Yeah.
of Boys High School. Can you put that up, Tony?
My dad didn't want me.
See that picture?
He wanted me to go to Brooklyn Tech.
Yes.
He wanted, he just wanted me to be better than like all parents are, especially black parents. They want the kids to be better. And he thought if I become an architect, wow. So, but I had no figure for numbers. I can't count today. I mean, I barely get by.
Yes.
And today, but that's what was in his mind. And my mom understood who I was, right? My aunts, they all knew who I was. She wanted me to go to music and art, which in retrospect and hindsight being 2020, that might have been the right place to go.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my lifetime was being in Boys High School, because there were so many cool dudes came out there that I happened to know.
Yes. Yes.
Like Tommy Davis, who played for the Dodgers, Richie Havens. Oh gosh, it's just on and on. It's just amazing. The Velours, the famous group at that time called the Velours, came out of there.
Yeah. Anthony Gourdine came out of there.
Well, yeah. Better be put out, but they wanted to.
Gotcha. Now they used to say, "Go on the corner and sing," and you started a group in the early '50s called the DuPont, right?
Yeah, I didn't start them. We were in high school.
Uh-huh.
And for a little bit of trivia, for people who don't know, at that time, Tommy Davis was just a year ahead of me, and Connie Hawkins. Those guys were ahead of me. And but we used to always sing in the lunchrooms, because that was the place you could do it, and the teachers let you do it because it kept you out of problems. All the kids would see who can sing better or what they can sing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I met a lot of really good singers, and one of them was Tommy Davis. People don't know that he sings a little bit. He didn't do too bad. I think he played with the Dodgers, I guess. Anyway, baseball team. So we would get together and we would sing and do all kinds of wonderful things in there. And so that's really, and then I met William Doherty, who was one of the DuPonts. In fact, he named the group DuPonts, which to this day I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
It was told later on because he saw DuPont chemical name up on a wall, and he decided to call it DuPonts. And he and Delk, and William Delk, and William Bracey, those guys, we were all in the same class, and we were always singing. So we said, let's sing. Come on, man, put together a group, because in them days everybody was singing.
Right.
And we called it street corner singing. Right? Wasn't doo-wop wasn't invented yet,
Right.
Well, that came in the 70s, somebody called it that, but it was street corner R&B singing. And so we just got together like all the kids, just like they do today in the urban areas with rap. No different, just that we sang.
Okay. 1957, you joined a new group called the Chesters when you were the lead singers. The group recorded a song called Tears on My Pillow, which became an instant success. Roll it, Tony.
Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Don't remember me but I remember you.
Wow. By the way, the gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman who you saw who introduced the group, his name was Dick Clark. He opened up the door for a lot of black people and artists on his program, American Bandstand. He's
Yeah,
no
he
longer
started.
with us,
Yeah,
but he'll always be remembered.
yeah, he did.
Good guy.
He was one of the people. Many
Oh,
people
yeah. Good
did
man.
that, but he was the first national TV. And by the way, let me set the record straight.
Yes.
In a way, you're right. The Chesters at that time didn't do Tears in My Pillow, but the Chesters really were the Imperials because they changed
Show
the
that
name.
picture. See,
They
show that
changed
picture. We
well,
were look
right.
at
They
that.
changed
There
our
you go.
name. They changed our
Thank
name
you.
and called us the Imperials because they felt it was more regal, and they didn't like the name Chester. So technically, yes, but officially, it was the Imperials.
Got you. Now, you guys had a second hit song called Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Bop.
Oh,
Sold
dear.
over a million hits, a million records. My
My
goodness.
gosh.
How did the group feel when they were getting all these hits? You guys, how you young and in the man? What was it like?
Well, you're a kid. When you're that age and you don't have anything to compare anything with, I would have paid somebody to sing. And then somebody gave me a couple of dollars. Oh my
Right.
goodness, they pay you for this. And so how it was, you know what it did? And I can speak for anybody in this business, especially cats. It's just small girls, man. It's really your instinct was that, at a young man with teenager with raging hormones, it was girls. I mean, that's why you wanted it because it would draw the ladies, the young ladies. So that's what your main initial thinking was. But then you found out, hey, guess what? You make money out of this, Yeah. And so that's how I looked at it. And so I didn't get that really great feeling of, oh man, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to this. Not really. I thought of, I tell you what I thought of. I'm going to be like Frankie Lyman of the teenagers. Everybody loves them, and then the girls are going to like me, and everybody. Boy, oh boy, that's how I thought. But
You bring a good part right there.
you said Shimmy Shimmy Coco.
Yeah.
Even your group didn't like that song.
Right. You bring up a good point there. The competition between different groups at your
Well,
time.
it was. We used to have we used to meet in school. In those days, they had school assemblies, or they had places for kids to go. Today, they really don't. Then they did to keep you off the street. And so a lot of us would go to different schools, and we would sing, and they would have contests, and they were called Battle of the Groups, and you'd win $10, which was a lot of money. Split it up with all of y'all. You have plenty of money. And that kind of thing. You get a trophy or something, but it was very good to do that because it gave you incentive. And I think it taught us and others the value of working for something. If you do this and you put your heart and mind into it, it's a good chance you're going to do all right at it.
Okay. Fast forward to 1964. You guys put out a song that went all the way to the top. Later became the group's signature song. Roll it, Tony.
Yes, I think I'm going out of my head over you. Over you. I want you to want me. I need you so badly. I can't think of anything but you.
Lord have mercy. Going out of my head.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that was a unique time, man. We actually did something that was unique, and that was done before by Frank and I and teenagers. But we had a thing called crossover, and we actually learned from the best in the business. Mr. Don Costa, the producer, was Sinatra's man, and so we used that orchestra you hear on that record was all Sinatra's people, and indirectly it's how we met certain people that connect us to one another, and then you get to know who was Sinatra, and it's another story. That's a long story. You got 2 days?
3 days if you need it.
Yeah. So, so that was the change. I think that's where we changed from being street corner singers to now becoming contemporary pop singers or R&B singers, and that was because of Teddy Randazzo, who was a writer of those songs, who I met years before that with the DuPonts when I was doing the New York Paramount, and he was with a group called the Chuckles, and he used to look at me in the wings, and he said the wings of the stage, and he loved what I was doing, and he told me one day, someday you and I are going to work together. Okay. Now, who knew? And we ended up 9 years later coming together. That's a long story, but we ended up being together. He then turned us on to Don Costa, who then pulled me aside and said, you got a unique voice. He said, you know, I work with Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra. He's run all these people, Mel Torme. You got that kind of a voice. He said, that's very hard to explain. It's unique. He said, let me show you how to sing. Now, when he said that, I'm going, you can't tell me how to sing.
Right.
How to sing, you know? And no, but then I gained to know what he meant and learned. He meant, let me take you up another level.
Right.
Because you haven't reached that level yet. And that's what happened. This was our transition from the world we were in the late 50s into becoming an entirely new entity, or right. What we say, reinvented ourselves.
Gotcha.
Because the influences of Mr.
Right,
Costa and Eddie and all these kind of people.
Right. Because during that time frame, you guys were traveling around. What was it like doing that, especially in the South? No, bad. Now, I said, man, people have their own feelings and emotions, and maybe I would have too, but by the grace of God, I ain't mad at nobody. But that experience is something that I wouldn't do again. No way. But I wouldn't change it. It's hard to explain, because I was in the trenches with some of the greatest performers in the world. When I was humiliated, it wasn't personal. We all were humiliated. I mean, I was in a car driving with who was I with? Not Big Joe Turner. I forget who it was, but we were in a car and we were in Alabama coming out of Birmingham, and I was in the car going from one gig to the other because I decided I got late. I couldn't catch the tour bus, so I had to go with one of them guys, you know, we were stopped. And this big, it looked like he was tall as the Empire State Building, man. He had a gun bigger than me. And he looking at me, he said, what y'all doing going here from this here, going through this town, doing 35 miles per hour? We said, huh? 35 miles. You know, what y'all do? Let me see, yo, get. And so many in the car said, well, this is Mr. Turner, and this is this one and that one, and that's little Anthony. And he asked one of them, he said, well, if you Turner, come sing something for me. I said, now I learned from them old timers, you got to survive, baby. It's all about survival. In those days, you could not you jump up, you wouldn't be around long. And he started singing. And he said, well, that's why y'all got that there Cadillac. Boy, you niggas sure can, y'all sing good. That was an experience that made me feel about the size of a pea. Yes.
Because I come from New York and Brooklyn, and
right.
Man, if it was any kind of racism, it was so subtle that right. You know you feel it here and there, but this was in your face. Okay, my mother warned me because my mom was from Savannah, Georgia. And she said that when I go down there, you're going to find life is going to be entirely different than it was when you were up here in New York, protected in Brooklyn, and all this good stuff. She said, I want you to be able to deal with that. And it was so shocking to me. And I'm talking, I took about 3 months and a half of this.
Yes. At
the first time, and another 3 months the second time. Put it all together, well over a year or two of just being humiliated and having to go down there because that's where the money was.
Right.
We performed against, can you imagine having a stage that is cut in half and you got one side black folk and you got the other side white folks? Now, who do you sing to? They wanted us to sing to the white folks, and that rebellious New York, Brooklyn, thuggish attitude I had, singing, what? I told the guys, turn around and sing to the wall. We sang to the wall.
Good move.
Almost cost it back. Right. Oh, man. Woo, we had to get out of there. Laverne Baker said, are you crazy? Great Laverne Baker said, she was in the tour. And Bo Diddley, man, dude, what are you doing? We got to get out of here. They were threatening and all this. Better get up on that bus and make it out of there. That's the kind of thing that I've experienced. A lot of people don't know that. They just assume, that who, or I lived it. I was there.
Yeah.
I felt every sting of what racism is. People call people, that's a racist, this one racist, that was a racist. I tell you what racist is, come with me. That was racism.
Right.
Because it told you this is who you are. I don't care what you are. I don't care how big you are, who you think you are. But here you ain't you ain't nothing.
Right.
You ain't no better than the guy down the street. But by the way,
right.
Sing that song I like.
Let's move it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
March 28, 1965. Little Anthony and the Imperials made an appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. Can you show that, Tony? Look at that. Look at that. What was that like?
That's great.
Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan? Oh, my
yes.
goodness. That was phenomenal, man. Of course, he was the man.
Yes, sir.
The man.
Right.
At that time, I mean, his show was called The Toast of the Town first, and then they changed the Ed Sullivan Show because he got so big. Right. He was on. I used to watch him as a kid. That's how big he was, like 1954.
Right.
The show would come on every Tuesday night. So to be on there, and actually, his dressing room was next to ours. So he came in the room, and he was a delightful man. But we can all say what Mr. Sullivan liked to have a little something before he went on.
Yes.
So he was always a little tight. There were people wonder why he forgot people's names.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said to Frankie Lamy, called him Frankie Howard or something, or Donald Ross, he called the wrong name. Well, it wasn't because he trying to be stupid. He might have had a few,
gotcha.
And he just couldn't connect well. But boy, that was the zenith of our career.
Okay. I understand that when the group was not traveling, you started doing stage plays and other actor functions. You got your first IMDb credit with a role on The Jeffersons.
Yeah, not in Jefferson, man. I studied before I was a little Anthony.
Yes.
I was a child actor. I did plays in New York City. I did a lot of the community plays. My mother knew I had a talent for expressing myself and performing and acting. And she really pushed me. My mom was sort of we call it stage mom.
Gotcha.
And yes, I had a lot of credits, little things like that, and I came up and I started doing stuff. And I did Contact 303, which was a movie that wasn't released,
right,
for Paramount. And then that movie was Henry Fonda, Billy Dee Williams, Chad Everett, on and on and on. And it was about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Right.
So I did that in several hundred things and plays, but I was in character because I was always taught to be a character actor because being black, chance of you being a leading man was not that good. Sidney Poitier came out and changed that.
Right.
But at that time, you just wanted to be something that you can get your. I wore mustache and got like disguise and nobody knew who I was.
Got you. Anthony, we're running a little short on time. I would like to ask you, how do you feel about Valentine's Day?
I love that. Well, I better feel good. That lady in this house, I've been married for 44 years. I better act like it. And she might be listening through the door for all I know. Yeah, I love Valentine's Day.
Okay. All right. You came out with a book called Little Anthony. Yeah.
My Destiny, My Journey. And it was all of the people that we discussed a little portion of that.
Uh-huh.
And it was all about my experience as a kid coming up with my family, and then what I faced in segregation and for a couple of years there that I think defined me. I could have went the other way, become bitter and angry and terrible things, and this book sort of explained who I was, and that in my heart I was. What does the Bible say? You train up a child the way they go, and when they're old, they'll never depart it. And I'm just a faith believing cat.
Yes,
and
sir.
That faith and that belief and what I was instilled by my wonderful aunts and my mom and my dad held me up to this day, kept me, I'm not goody two shoes. Don't get me wrong, but by God's grace, I'm here. Right. And a lot of my peers are not.
Gotcha. Back to your singing, sir. You released a bunch of albums and singles, getting hot. You guys were a ball. You started getting awards. In 1999, you were inducted into the Vocal Group Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
2007, inducted into the Hit Parade Hall of Fame. And then on April the 4th, 2009, 23 years after the group's first year of eligibility, Little Anthony Imperials were inducted into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Tell me about it, brother.
Yeah, well, I got to say, I got to give kudos for kudos. One is for Mr. George Dastinger, who was my publicist, who really put that campaign together because he believed this was he felt we should be in there. We didn't think like that. We just thought, well, I mean, like, oh, you got to get all these Grammys and things. No, he said that you should be in the fact that you've been this long, what you've done for 3 decades. That's different. So he created a campaign, and people like Paul Schaefer, and people like Billy Joel, and Paul Simon. Those cats, they stood up for us, man. They said, these cats, we learned from them. That's you all can't. And they were part of the Hall of Fame committee, and we didn't know that they put together a bunch of people to see us on the David Letterman show. And 2009, yeah, early part of 2009, we didn't know that the people at the all the bigwigs were watching the show from the Hall of Fame because of Billy Joel and them asking, "Got to see these guys, man." Right. So it's because of those cats, and of course George Dastinger, who was just a wonderful cat. And associated I with him for years he was very instrumental in that. Yeah, that's I can't explain that one. That now all your peers, man. I mean, you're the top of the line. It's like being in baseball Hall of Fame or football Hall of Fame. It says you now are where we are. You have been given this medal and carry it well. You deserve it and you earned it. And I carry that and respect that with the highest regard I could possibly have in the soul of mine.
You knew a lot of people who were very influential in your game, in your career, like Sammy Davis Jr.,
yeah,
Tony Bennett, others.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Sammy, especially Sammy. I got 5 members here. You see, the girl that he married a few people, but anyway, her name is Joni Gore, but we all know her as Alpha Beans. So I knew her when we were kids coming up. Right. On Fort Greene Project in Brooklyn. That's where she's from. And from that, another man by the name of Johnny Brown, who did a lot of the TV shows, comedian. What's the show he did? My brain sometimes don't go as fast as my mouth. But anyway, remember this song, Moving On Up? What's the name of that show?
Yeah, Jefferson. That's Jefferson. Yeah.
Yeah, one of them shows. Anyway, yeah. And so then Sammy Davis, then I met him, and he liked me. I mean, it was just maybe, I don't know, he just did it because he knew all the songs. He knew me for what Don Costa told him, So I knew before that meeting him physically, he already knew who I was, and I'm at hard him, and he's looking at me, and he's telling me, I'm gonna slap in your face. You got my voice. Your voice? I would be the king of the world, he said. And he taught me a lot of things, man. He used to just cold court. Oh my goodness. The shows I went to, you always say, hey, you learn to start at the beginning, you start with a bang, you end with a bang, and the middle take care of it. So all these little things I remember, just like Mom's maybe telling me, boy, you got to learn how to enter and you got to know how to exit in this business. Y'all walking off that stage, slap it. Y'all coming on, slap it. See, these people were show business, man, ultimate show people. And you can't hang with them, man, unless you slide and slipping and you're not doing it, they're going to take you. So that's what I got from Sammy Davis and a lot of other people, and Red Fox as well.
Yes. When you mentioned Jackie Moms Mabley, I remember all she used to say, old man can't do nothing for me but bring a message from a young man.
That's right. That's right. That's the funniest. That's the funniest comedian in the world.
Yes.
In the world. If she came in a different era or something, whatever, I mean, there's nobody that funny. I mean, she's so funny. I used to play checkers with her backstage. A lot of times we perform at the Apollo or the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. And she had nothing to do. Come here, boy, come here. Let's play some checkers. Let me see how birthday. And I told her, I said, I'm not a play jacket. You can't tell mom not to play no jacket. Mom, not a play jacket now. Come on. She beat me 90,000 games. And she said, what you pulling mom leg? Mom don't like the leg pull. You talking about you can play checker. Get out of there, boy. Get out. You can't play no checker.
Oh my God. The Apollo Theater, you spent some time in there.
Yeah.
That was a hard audience, wasn't it?
Tough audience, tough. Well, they're tough if you fail. I kind of had a bit of a push because I had the record, Tears My Pillow, so the little girls already want you to win. But then I learned how to perform in that Apollo Theater, and I played with some of the greatest of all time. In that Apollo, I probably was in there. In fact, somebody told me that we had a mural up in the lobby somewhere in the top of the people that they considered, one of the pioneers that came through there. And I tell you, man, it was if you went out there and did what you're supposed to do and you ain't half stepping, they love you, they adore you. People told me you make it there, you can make it anywhere. Right, they were right.
Wow. When I lived in the St. Nicholas Project, from my bedroom, I could look at the stage door on the back side of the building.
Yeah.
And see all the people coming and going to Motown, to this one, to this one.
Yeah.
What a sight.
We used to sneak in there when I was a kid. I wouldn't see people,
Yeah.
I'd sneak in there. At the time, I'm sneaking in the Apollo and then end up being in the Apollo.
Okay.
Working in the Apollo. You told me that when I was a little kid running around. I thought you were crazy. So dreams do come true. They do. When you focus on something, man, and have a passion for something, there ain't nothing going to keep you back. All the resistance in the world can't keep you back. No.
New York City ain't like it used to be.
Nope. Nothing is.
Say that again.
Vegas ain't the same no more. Well, that's how life is. These things are, they're here today and they're going to be gone tomorrow,
Gotcha.
And yeah, but and I talk to somebody old time that's still alive, they always tell you, well, I remember I do the Apollo and this and that and that and this. Or they'll say Vegas ain't the same no more. Actually, it isn't. It's not even near what it was. Now, even after this COVID-19, I don't know what is going to happen there now. I don't know.
Gotcha. 2015, you were the writer and director for a short film that you did with a gentleman named Bertrand Pickrell called Les Complexes de Warren.
Well, I don't know about all that. Yeah.
Had to practice that a couple times.
yeah. Get that. Anyway, a lot of stuff, man. I always give kudos to the greatest teacher I've ever had. His name is David Alexander.
Yes.
David Alexander was the teacher of Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and he took me under his wing, and I learned so much from that man and the art of imagery and all those things. And I stayed with it, really stayed with it. I probably would have made it. Let me go. I know you're having a lot of time. I got to
go ahead. Take your time. We got a little time. The other guests didn't show up. Right.
In 1981, a girl by the name of Gloria Agorio. Now, she was a director, black director, in Broadway. Well, she was very good friends with De Niro, with Robert De Niro. And she told him, this kid, you heard of Little Anthony? And he said, yeah, sure, yeah. He said, well, you don't know that guy can act. Because I did a play. He did a play called The Sisters in L.A. And he played 7 dual parts, three parts, yeah. Dual parts. There were 3 different characters in the same play. And that's a lot of work, man. I wouldn't do that to nobody, but I was challenged. They thought I could do it, and I did it. And he said, you got to see this. You got to see this guy. And so we get a call. I get a call. My agent called me, Myrna Eisenberg, and she said, oh, they want you over to Metro Goldwyn Mayer at the studio. I said, what? To audition for a part with Robert De Niro in this new movie. Do you see how things work?
Yes.
He told somebody, she told somebody that one. And the reason why he did it, Mr. De Niro always wanted to work with New York actors because it was something about us that we had a little something because of all the different ethnic people we live with. We have this tendency to be able to talk and actually do dialect and ways that we came up. And he wanted that authenticity. And so I'm not known as any kind of an actor, but he gave me the part I was reading for, because I read for a 3 camera read, and I was scared of that. And I read for that part, and they said that the producers said, "Wow, wow, we got to call him." And they called him and probably told me, "You're right, man. This kid is something else." And I was about Vietnam veterans. We were supposed to get together and have a reading together, so that everything is tight.
Right.
Right then, the writers' strike came in 1981, if you remember. It shut Hollywood down.
Yes.
Well, how long? Over a year or 2 years?
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Everything stopped. Well, you know, in the acting field, that you go into the next project. You don't linger. You understand? I got to wait till I got to go to the next project. I often would think to myself, what would have happened had I did that part? And I did a lot of stuff, but that would have been real meaty. And plus, Contact 303, what I did with Mr. Fonda, Henry Fonda. Right. The day that I was going to do the scene with him, the young officer, lieutenant in the
Tuskegee.
We all know the Tuskegee Airmen, the Red Tails. We all know them, man.
Oh yeah, the fighter pilot.
I got in a fight. My scene was I got in a fight somewhere in Italy over racism in a bar, and I was called out to my company commander, and he was the company commander. And we had a scene. I would say the scene was a good 4 minutes. In Hollywood, 4 to 5 minutes a lifetime, man.
Yeah.
Solid scene. I had 2 to 2.5 pages to 3 pages. Imagine that. That's again. I didn't. They canceled the movie because of at that time they didn't want to do any black movies. This new guy came into Paramount. You want to change everything, so they shut the whole thing down. So now you have that, and I said to myself, "Wow." That's why I'm entitled the book, My Journey, My Destiny, because I know what I could have done and where I might have been, but God has other plans, and each had a different plan for me that led me up to the fact that I'm even talking to you right now.
Yes.
There's no coincidence.
Yes.
There's only destiny. There's only where we're going to be and where we're going to go and when we're going to die.
Yes.
And in between that, if we could touch people's lives or do something, in between that, that's what we're here for. Because that brings glory to Him. Right.
The Son.
So I think about these things. You're asking me these questions. I'm loving this because not a lot of people ask me things like that.
Whoa. That's it.
So thank you for
wonderful.
That. So
I can sit here all day long with you.
That's really cool because it reaches deep in parts that maybe the audience has no clue.
Yes.
At all. They see me as this guy did hit records and this and that, this. They didn't know I used to dabble in screenwriting and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff I learned and picked up.
Did you say Streetlight?
Screen. I used to do screenplays.
Yes.
I used to take books that I liked, and I really liked them, and I would stand there, and actually do the screenplay by hand. And if anybody who, I'm sure people listening to your show know any writer, boy, that's a hard deal to do. When your brain is thinking of 4, 5, 6 different characters, then you have to write towards each one of these characters.
Got you.
And I was never taught, just picked it up.
Wow.
Picked it up to the business. And so there were other things I could have done, did not go that way, but I'm right back this way because it's the way it's supposed to go.
Got you. 2017, Streetlight Harmonies came out. Tell us about it, please.
That's the, I haven't seen that yet.
No, I haven't seen it.
You did? Look, everybody's
seen it. Thank me on the hands. Thank me.
Dang it. So, my son told me that. He said, Dad, I saw it too. I said, what the heck? What's wrong with me? I got a TV. No, I haven't seen it. I heard it was just wonderful with Boyz II Men and all the kind of people. I don't know. I would like to see it. I was told it was quite interesting, really nice. A lot of good people in that.
One of the pictures that we showed the people who were in it. They were standing in the way they had it shot. Good opportunity to get those many people together, like Michael Jackson when he did his thing.
Yeah.
we
Well, I
out
think
rural.
it's
Yeah,
because of the Boys to Men. Those are
right.
some nice cats, man. I got to give them kudos. That's some very, very humble gentlemen that I
Yeah.
met at the
They
Dick
say the
Clark.
same thing about you. They say you're a very humble man.
Yeah, we liked each other from day one. We met. I met them in the 40th anniversary of Dick Clark. What date was that? I totally forgot. My brain went in the neutral. Oh, 1994.
Okay.
And they came on and they had these shorts, like these shorts, the Boys to Men. And
Right.
they were doing the show. We came on, and then pretty soon we got to talking. You just, and then I found out they were just kind of knew who we were. And in fact, they recorded one of our songs. I can't remember which one of the stuff they did.
2018, the house with a clock in its wall. You were a performer and a writer. That's where you got more IMDb credit. That's why I was able to see you.
Oh, that's how you knew. Okay.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Somebody knew. Yeah.
You're also doing or have done a one-man show. You do
Yes,
this
I
to
did.
support
Yeah.
your biography.
I did that all around New York area and Long Island. It was interesting. It was an idea somebody came up with.
Yes.
But we didn't have the financial backing that it could have been really, really good. Basically, because like I told you, I had the ability for writing. I actually put it together, not the nuts and bolts,
Right.
but the writing and the idea I had with the screen and all this came out of my head. And I had put all of the different, we doing acting is first act, second act, third act.
Yeah.
I did it with that, and that was fun because again I was doing something out of my element that no one really knew that I could do.
Wow. How many albums did you guys ever put out?
Oh man.
There's a question
I'm
today.
doing a little thing in my head. Yeah, little figures in my head. I don't know, 9 albums, 8, 7. I don't know. I'm looking at one of them right now. I'm talking to you. It's up on my wall. I'm trying to cheat.
That's okay. That's right.
Yeah, we did most of the albums we did with Teddy Randazzo and Don Costa.
Got you.
And then I had a whole, people don't realize with Tom Bell. I had a Philly with Gabble and Huff. We were with them for a while.
Oh, okay.
They were there in 71. We were in the top 20.
Yeah.
R&B. You can check that. That's in Google or whatever. You can Google that. And we did it, quite a few things. We did an album with them called On a New Street.
Yes.
Which was not introduced them, but Tom Bell produced one side and Teddy Randazzo did the other side. So that was another era people don't realize it, but I get a lot of people that either bought those records or they know all about it because they'll always tell me, especially on Black folks, when I go to Philly or any place, man, do that song, I'm falling in love. Do that song, this and la 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 at the end. Do this. They know that's those songs, So it makes me feel good. That was another part of my life that a lot of folks maybe now they'll know.
Got you. Before we get out of here, I want to say one thing. It's been a pleasure and an honor being with you today. That's what I like about this job. I get to meet people like you. As they say, you made my day. But
man, thank you very much. That
thank you, sir.
Feel good. That makes me feel good. I like, I like talking, as you can tell.
Oh yeah, but we got the time. Other guests didn't show up. We got the time. You got an award that was given to you. It's an organization. They call themselves what do they call themselves? Oh yeah, the History Makers.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. They started out many years ago going to schools and teaching all the histories, especially Black history. And then we qualified. That's because I'm Black, I guess. So we qualified, and then from them, we ended up in Washington, D.C. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. In fact, the new museum that they're putting together there, we're going to be in that too. So that makes me feel good.
Dr. Richardson is busy.
Yeah. And they are part of Americana. One fun of the things about being my age is you look back and you go, my gosh, I was here. I did some things. And you're part of that. But then when somebody tells you did, and you go, I really? Yeah, man, you meant a lot. You should be, and that's how we got this remake, because you should be in this. You should be represented
You're still performing.
there.
You're
Well,
still
I
performing.
was.
I see you're scheduled to be in
These days,
Pennsylvania in what, May of this year?
yeah, that's what they schedule, because all performances have been canceled
Yeah.
or moved.
Mhm.
So finally, they moved it about 3 times. As long as they feel that they cannot let people in, and each state is different. You know,
Yeah.
some are like lockdown states that you can't forget. California and Washington. I mean, there's nothing happening, but Pennsylvania's starting to open up. And then the promoters called and said, we are going to do this show. And I didn't ask them why, when, and how. They feel confident that they can do it. Yeah, we booked through the summer. Actually, most of those dates were moved. All the artists, we talk to each other.
Yes.
We're all talking the same way. Hey, man, when you going back to work? I don't know. When you going back to work? Oh, man, I could. You know what? I went the other day to see my grandchildren in Seattle, Washington with my wife. I hadn't been to the airport in 10 months. I never thought the airport could look that good. I swear. I didn't think it would. You know, we take things for granted.
Yes, we do.
It's human nature to do that. But just to be in the airport, I was like a little kid walking. Man, this is what I do. This is who I am. You know, I fly planes and I sleep in hotels and I sing songs. That's who I am.
Wow.
And so you take that away, and all of a sudden you go, what do I do with myself? You know?
Yeah.
So I had to find other outlets, which is easy. I went back to doing a lot of fishing,
Yeah.
a lot of golf.
Okay. All right. All right.
A lot of
Still
time
living a
with
good
the
life.
family,
Yeah.
which I didn't have a chance. That's a good thing,
Right.
because all those years of traveling, I got to really spend a lot of time with my grandchildren. Now,
Gotcha.
you know, and
When you step up on the stage today and they say, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
Little Anthony and the Imperials, how does it
Mhm.
make you feel? The applause.
Well, you know, it's an interesting question. I don't know. It's who I am. But I've had people ask me, "You still get nervous when you go out?" Yeah, because the great Luciano Pavarotti, the great opera singer, said, "Being a tenor and was like walking across the Grand Canyon on a tightrope. You know, I have to deal with all of the things that the audience should not have to deal with. What if I'm going out to do that show, and they say, 'Little Anthony Pierce, I got a bad cold.' What's it going to do to my voice? How do I get around that? Is there any way I can get around it?
Yes.
You know, these are the thoughts that go through our minds, and they are very heavy and very strong. So I hope I can answer that. I want to put a little levity to it so it don't sound so heavy, but most all entertainers, it's like asking a boxer, what does he think about before he goes in the ring? He thinks about, I hope I don't get hit. I hope I don't get knocked out. I hope I win. So
Right.
there's a lot going on. So when they say Little Anthony Imperials, I have an obligation to that audience to give the very best I got.
Right.
And I got to go. A very famous football coach by the name of Bill Parcells was the coach of the New York Giants and won 2 Super Bowls.
Is that their hat you're wearing right there? Is that their hat you're wearing right there?
No. And he said to me once he came to see me at a show in New York, he said, "You know what I love about you, man?" He said, "You remind me of my players. You're sweating. You're like worn out. I'm looking at you, and we came backstage, and you're worn out. You know what that tells me? You gave all you had."
Right. Right. Wow. Got time for one more question, sir.
Mm-hmm.
As you look back from these days, those days at Boys High School to today, what do you think?
Well, you know, I could think of all those days, the mess I made in my life. I shouldn't be here. So what do I think? I think very thankful to the Lord. I think thankful to this God that loved me so much that I'm here. And not only here, but it's not the quantity of life that Martin Luther King said, it's the quality. So, but if you get the quantity with the quality, it ain't bad, too. So yeah, I'm very grateful. Absolutely grateful that I'm able to even have this conversation.
Anthony Gourdine, I thank you very, very much for taking this time. The other guests didn't show, so I didn't lose nothing. I gained a lot.
Oh, well, thank
I
you,
gained
sir.
24 minutes extra of that
It was
man
my
sitting
pleasure.
there
Like I
playing the
said,
piano.
I got time on my hands. I wrote a
Go
song.
ahead, brother.
I'm
Go
part of a song that's coming out here. Said, "Caught time
Go
hands."
ahead.
Anyway, that's a shameful plug.
Uh,
But yeah, I had nothing but time, and I enjoy speaking. And I thank you for even when my son told me about it. I say, "Oh yeah, 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 sure,
Thank you,
yeah,
son. Yes,
show business.
yes,
Yeah, let's talk about it." Yeah,
yes. He's Tony, you're Anthony. My goodness, my goodness.
yep.
God bless you, sir. And
Thank
thank you for being here. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington, and I want to thank our sponsors, Hobby Brandman Photography is an Art, Ron Irwin's Hoco, Style, Passion, Heart, Larry Beaver's Book to the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm Agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Bob Brownstein, Actor Training School, and Actor Space. And much thanks to our guest today. Much thanks. Singer, actor, director, Anthony Gourdine. Special thanks to our ever-growing audience. Be well. We will see you the next time.
Yes.